Well, we are back to do some follow-up experiments with the NES Satellites by request. So the first one I'm gonna take a look at is for Alan Thompson, regular Nintendo. I'll make sure to tag you in the description. But he had mentioned that the delay between the two systems when playing Super Mario Brothers on both systems at the same time might have been caused by, I've got a LCD screen over here going through an adapter, and I've also got a CRT screen over here, which is pretty much a direct through the RCA. So what I was thinking is a good way to test that the delay is in any way related to the video output is to essentially disconnect both systems from any video output. Play them for a little while, and then see if when I turn the systems back on, if I am in the same place or if any type of delay took place. So we're going to power on the systems here, make sure that I can get Mario up. There's one, there's two. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect the video from both. Actually, you know what, let me get started first. We'll do start, and then we're going to pause. Okay, so I'm paused on both. There's no flashing coins on either side. No Goombas running at me. So I'm going to unplug video 1, unplug video 2, and we're going to play it for a little bit. I'm just going to go right, left. Can't go too far because I'm probably going to get killed by a Goomba here. Oh, there we go. I had to unpause it too. Alright, so I moved and we paused again on both systems. So now I'm going to put this back in and see what we're working with here. So there I am on World 1, time 388, and you can see, I don't know if you can tell, so I'll give you a close-up. So keep an eye on where Mario's feet are on the LCD. So I'm actually midway between two squares, and on this side, you can see, I don't know if that flashing is going to come through, if it's just while I'm recording, but I'm actually slower on that side. So what I'm going to try doing, I think that pretty much rules out the displays causing the actual delay, but my theory now is that it's either the unit or the game itself. So what I'm going to try doing is I'm going to reset both of them, and we're just going to go through again, and I'm going to see if the bottom system, this system, ends up ahead in all cases. Oh, interesting. So one thing I've noticed the time in the top right. We've got 334 up here, and we've got 333 over here, which would indicate that this top unit actually picked up me hitting start first, because that's when the clock would have started. But this was the one I was actually farther to the right. I was farther ahead. So it may be totally arbitrary. These systems may actually like speed up and slow down arbitrary to one another. But what I was going to try doing is swapping the games between the systems and see if that has any effect on this. So this is my not so healthy copy of Mario, but nope. There we go. Love the both sensitive and non-sensitive nature with the NESs. Oh, oops. Scoot that over there. There we go. Alright. So, we're going to hit start. So now, we'll see if the time seems to be any different between the two. Oh, already a difference here. Oh, got the mushroom on one, but not the other. Whoa, They're way out of sync now. Oh yeah, and you can see, interestingly enough, this system, which is the bottom system, is at 355 for the time, and this one's still at 357. That's nuts. Huh. So, to me, I'm assuming that that's something with like the CPU running faster on this system than this system, or it might be the clock. The clock crystal might be just a hair faster than this one and then this bottom one, but ultimately I don't know why. If anybody has any other theories and they have something else for me to test, please throw it in the comments, because I'm very intrigued by this. Okay, so the next experiment we're going to run is, we've got Gauntlet II, which is up to 4 players. I'm going to try to design an experiment where I can use one controller with a couple NES satellites, receivers, and transmitters, and see if I can play all 4 players at the same time. So I'm gonna cut for a bit, and we'll reset and see if I can get that going. Alright, well, this took some finagling, but I think I finally got it to work. This is the setup of the experiment. I've got Gauntlet II in one system with the receiver right here. Let's see, it's running right now. Everybody's moving. I'm just going to open this up so you can see. I have one receiver, or one transmitter, with 2 de-shelled receivers in it. One plugged into the set of 3 and 4 pair, one set into the pair of 1 and 2 pair for player 1 and 2. I've got it powered off right now, and what I'm doing is I'm putting these inside this box to break line of sight between this and this, because what was happening is I have to make sure that this one isn't just transmitting a signal and skipping the middleman. So what I'm doing is covering this up to try to block the light, and it's actually, this unit is kind of helping to block the light. So notice that the power, you can kind of see it right in there. Power light's off, and right now, if I move the controller, you can see, can't really see, but the one in here is turned on. So I hit start, I can't control it, I can't do anything, not moving at all. But when I power this one on, now I've got a red light, I can move again. You can see it's hard to get all this in one shot. There we go. So I'm able to move. Now, that is one player. I actually think what I'm going to have to do is restart the game, plug a controller into each of the controller ports individually first, then switch to the actual game, enter the game, and then try to play as all of them. So I'm going to try that now. So I'm going to reset this, take middleman out, power it off, and open this up, hit start. Alright, so press the button to begin. Got 1, player 2, player 3. Hello. Oh, can't do player 3. Interesting. 4. Well, that's interesting. Alright, well, either way, let's see if we can play with player 1 and 2. So there's 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this back in here, power it on. Let's see if I can control players 1 and 2. Oh. Did I turn it off? I turned it off. Oh. Oh, that's first player moving him. Interesting that you can move your own character. So he's not controlling the first and second player. Interesting. Very interesting. Could be that we found the upper limit of what how the transmitters are able to be putting through. They may be interfering with each other quite a bit. But I do find it interesting that I was not able to... let me try this from a different angle here. Make sure that those are able to see. Huh. Odd. Okay. Well, I sure thought that that was gonna work. Kind of surprised it didn't. Let's see what happens if we take one of the receivers away. They should still be able to be playing as 1 and 2 player. Oh, still no. Interesting. I'm going to try this on the other system and see if I can at least get both players 1 and 2 to get controlled like I did with the with Heavy Barrel. We'll see if we can get that play going. Alright, we're back with 2 receivers, 1 system, which this one I had to kind of separate them out because the controller cover isn't there, which lets me do this pretty easily in the first place. And we're going to see... Yeah, alright. Man, that is still the most reliable way to do it. Look, they're staying in sync. We'll see how this goes. Get that key. Oh. Oh, that's awkward. I can't get, I wasn't the one to pick up the key, so I can't, there we go. I have to be the one to open the door. That's gonna be awkward. Well, that's kind of how it was with Heavy Barrel too, was that, it's almost more challenging. It was how it was with Heavy Barrel also. Let's see if we can do what we did with Heavy Barrel and get us both into a corner. See, the hard thing about Gauntlet is these 2 characters cannot occupy the same space. In Heavy Barrel, you could occupy the same space, but with this you cannot. So whenever you get a key, you have to kind of situate yourselves so that it's the person coming up that. Oh, that's interesting. And I feel like games like Heavy Barrel would really benefit the most from this type of gameplay here, with the 2-player versus or 2 for 1 player, I guess we can call it. I don't know what I would call it. Makes it a little more difficult though, because with Gauntlet I feel like you gotta act a little independently. As independent characters, whereas with Heavy Barrel you kind of want to act as a pair. So it still bugs me that we're not able to get the 4-player working. I don't know why that would be, and the only thing that I can think of to try, I think it might be something with the interference, and the only thing I can think to try to make it work is to get a 4 score, which is the physical adapter. It's essentially the physical equivalent of the NES Satellite. It's got 4 ports, but you plug it in wired into a system. So if I have a 4 score and I do what I try to do with the receiver, with the 2 receivers plugged into the 4 square, which I might actually be able to do without taking them apart because I think it's laid out horizontally instead of this grid configuration, I might be able to do 4 players there. I think I'm going to run into the same problem or worse with 4 players though, particularly with Gauntlet II, because the characters cannot occupy the same space. So that is where things start to get tricky. But this was definitely a good experiment, and I think I determined that I need to go out and find myself a Nintendo Foursquare. I think I've got a justification for it. Okay, I had to come back and try a few more things because this was bugging me. The biggest issue that I noticed or remembered when we were testing this is that these two controller ports don't seem to be working no matter if, you know, we're doing one receiver or not. So I've now tried 2 receivers and 2 units. I also checked to make sure I'm using real C batteries in here, though I don't think it should make a difference. But if I'm on 2-player, you can notice I don't know if you can tell, but this changes. I was looking through the instructions. I actually got the instruction manual out because I'm like, is there some reason that I shouldn't be able to do 4-player? So I was looking through here, and doesn't seem like there's any reason I should be able to pick using the D-pad. Left as Elf, up as Warrior, right as Valkyrie, down as Wizard. And I can do that for 1 and 2-player. That changes there. But if I go into 3 or 4, it doesn't change, not one bit. So I don't know what is going on, but I've tried now 2 transmitters and 2 receivers. I mean, it's possible it's the NES. It's also possible that it's the game cartridge, I'm not sure. But the only thing I can think to do is I'm gonna have to get a Nintendo Foursquare and really see if it's, you know, if it works that way. But I'm going to try this with another NES system and see if that does the same thing. Alright, I had an epiphany about this setup for Gauntlet II. I have not still fixed the issue with the 3rd and 4th player not working, but I do have a Foursquare on the way. And I think I will definitely be able to get all 4 players working on that if the problem isn't with the game itself. The Foursquare should at least rule out any issue with the NES Satellite, or with the game itself. If it doesn't work with the Foursquare, we know it's the game. But we'll get to that when we actually receive it. So I've got the same experiment set up here, but I've done a little bit differently this time. So I've got my one controller plugged into player 1 on the transmitter. I've got this transmitter plugged in, and I've disassembled the 2 units, the 2 receivers. The one thing I was doing wrong on the last experiment is I had 1 player, first player on 1 receiver plugged into player 1, and 2nd player on that receiver plugged into player 2. Then I had first player from the other receiver plugged into 3 and the other one plugged into 4. But in order to do a true test for players 1 and 2 at the same time, which I think I'm calling, what did I call it? Player 2 for 1 or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. So if I'm since I'm only plugged into controller port 1 on this transmitter, so I'm only transmitting signal for 1 controller here, which means it has to come out of the first player controller port here. Now I'm actually wondering, I guess we'll see this when we do the Foursquare. How does the signal get split? Is 1 and 3 in one port and 2 and 4 on the other? That's why these are side by side. Or is it 1 and 2 is on one, 2 and 4, or 1 and 2 is on one, 3 and 4 is on the other? I don't know. But in order to get first and second player to work at the same time, ports 1 and 2 have to have 2 receivers using the first player slot from each. So I'm sending first player signal from this transmitter to here. This is receiving first player 1. This is receiving first player 2. And now we're going to close it up. So if I turn this off, got that turned off, then we should see my controller doesn't control anything. Nothing's moving. We'll just reset just for to make sure. Can't hit start, can't do anything. I'm going to power this on. You can see the lights on. And now you can see simultaneously, almost simultaneously, there was a little bit of a delay, which is interesting. But we're going to be wizards. And look, we're moving simultaneously. So that will work. It's so weird still having two inventory systems, but here we are. And yeah, so we still got the same key issue, which means that I'm gonna have to get creative here to try to get these guys to go into the room at the same time, since they cannot occupy the same space. But, you know, once you get used to it, this isn't bad. It's just an interesting way to play. But the point is, I'm going to try booting this up with a 4-score and see if we can get Gauntlet working with all 4 players. Because I feel like it should be possible. And I wish I knew why the 4th player and 3rd player wouldn't work just natively on the NES Satellite. I don't have any other 4-player games to test this on, so it has me kind of concerned that it's Gauntlet that's the issue. I might have to order some other ones and see how they go. But if anything, I think this this proof of concept is sound. So 2 receivers, both with the first player port plugged into each individual port, and this transmitter just transmitting 1 controller, 1 receiver through here. So my goal is going to be with when I get the 4-score, is to plug the 4-score into the system, first test it out with 1, 2, 3, and 4 players. Then, if that works, I'm going to disassemble all the receivers I have, which I luckily have 4, plug in the first player controller port into each of the 4-score ports, and then play it with 1 transmitter. The good news is I shouldn't need 2 transmitters because I'll just have the 4-score. So should be a pretty easy test, but we'll see how it goes when we come to it.